I have a feeling I'm really gonna like this one. Hello everybody, my name is Meisterbloo, and today I took a look at the first episode of the new show Rekan, which is simulcasting on Crunchyroll at Friday nights at 10:30 p.m. Actually a really fitting time to have this show airing. The plot centers around a girl named Amami Hibiki, who has a very peculiar power. The show opens up with her praying to her deceased mother's shrine in her home before heading out to school. From there, she bumps into another girl who's going to her school and very oddly hip-hops across the street. The girl, of course, thinks maybe she hurt her leg, so actually helps her up and across the street and asks her what's wrong, before looking down and seeing that there are handprints on Hibiki's leg. Hibiki then responds with, "Oh, he was just playing around." And then for a brief moment, the girl sees that there is a tiny boy from The Grudge clinging on to Hibiki's leg. Cue the OP! So yes, Hibiki-san's power is that she has the ability to communicate with the dead. This often makes her seem like a weirdo out in public because she's always talking to a seemingly nobody and sidestepping when there's seemingly nothing in front of her. Thankfully, the friends that we see that she's made at this new school that she's transferred to seem to have grasped onto the concept that she has a very powerful sixth sense and, for the most part, is perfectly okay with it. However, there is one person in the school in particular who is very not okay with it. Her name is Inoue, and she is the girl that was, in the very beginning, helping Hibiki across the street and then seeing the Grudge child on her leg. Inoue doesn't believe in the occult or the supernatural or ghosts or anything, and it's actually really entertaining to watch her in this because there's obviously supernatural things happening around this girl, and she's refusing to believe it. And as far as this first episode goes, she's really the most entertaining person to watch, so much so that even if all the other characters were bad, I would probably still watch this show just to see where it goes with her. Thankfully, though, the other characters aren't bad. They're actually pretty intriguing, although we haven't really gotten a chance to know too many of them. One thing I really like about our main character, Hibiki, is that she's actually really open about this ability she has to speak and communicate and see the dead. And she's not afraid of reacting to it publicly, no matter who she's talking to, be it other students, be it out in public places, or be it a teacher. And she seems like a generally all-around nice person who's just trying to help whoever she comes across. As far as the animation goes, I really only have one minor complaint, and that's that there's this weird glow around the hair of all the characters that we see in this show. Just a tiny thing, nothing too big though. The backgrounds of the city and the school and everything are incredibly detailed, and it looks really good. And the character designs, they're also really good. They don't move as fluidly as I've seen in other shows, but maybe I'm just spoiled because I love things like Toradora and whatnot, where the animation is incredibly, ungodly smooth. But they look perfectly fine, and they move around perfectly fine too. And they do something that I really like too, is whenever a goofy moment happens in the show or whatnot, they switch the characters' faces to a more goofier look. We've seen this recently in The Fruit of Grisaya, and we see it in Toradora occasionally, we see it in Kotora-san, and it's mainly the style where like their eyes, instead of being anime eyes, just become like thick black circles with white in the middle, and their mouths get like super exaggerated, and it's a style that I really like for comedic effect. And I'm glad, because I finally get to talk about this here on this channel, because I haven't really gotten to yet, because this isn't really related to anime in the slightest, but I am a huge horror movie fanatic. I love all the classics, I love recent things that are coming out, and one of the things that I think makes a really good scary scene is when something bad is happening in a supernatural movie, story, whatever, and you don't see the ghost, you don't see the creature or whatnot doing it, you just see what they're doing. And I love that, and they do a really good job in this show at keeping that. There's only, I think, 2 times in this first episode where you actually see the spirit that is causing something to happen. And it makes it kind of creepy, which is weird because the show is still really lighthearted about everything, so I love that contrast. As for the OP, the only thing about it really that's anything special is that whenever it shows the dead people, it hides their faces, so you just see kind of creepier looking ghost people here and there in a rather colorful opening, which does make a nice little contrast, but nothing else too special about it. And the song is just another typical girl singing a J-pop song, so nothing else there. Speaking of music, the audio for this show is actually surprisingly really good. I don't know, it might be because I've been using my new headsets with it, but I was able to catch on to all the music that was going on, especially the first bit of music that was playing in the episode, which was this nice little jazzy acoustic guitar and bass kind of music that was tuning along, up until it got to the creepy moment where it shows a grudge kid grabbing onto the girl's leg. And on that note, there are times in this episode where when something really supernatural is happening, the music gets a bit ominous, like really out of place ominous, which is the best kind, honestly. And there's this moment in this episode where it kind of breaks into a random musical number. It's not the characters in the show singing, it's just a song playing while the actions are happening. And when it first came, it really felt out of place, but shortly after that, it really added to the scene instead of detracting from it, which made it a really fun scene to watch. As for the voice actors, they seem to be having a lot of fun with their roles, especially Inoue-san. However, I will say that Hibiki-san does have that kind of soft, airy voice that's normally attributed to the ditzier characters of anime, so I'm hoping maybe somewhere along the line we'll be able to see some variety in her voice, because it can get a little grating sometimes. All in all, I'll say that this first episode of Rekan is really good. I think it's one of the better first episodes I've seen recently, and I'm anxious, actually, to keep watching the show, so it's a plus for me. I'd highly recommend you guys take a look at this first episode. You might find something you really like in it, because I know I have. The description on Crunchyroll actually states this perfectly by saying that the show is a heartwarming horror comedy. That is probably the best way I can describe it from this first episode. That's exactly what they made. And speaking of Crunchyroll, I will of course have the link to this show in the description. It is currently simulcasting again on Fridays at 10:30 p.m. for those of you who are subscribers, paid subscribers to Crunchyroll. And right now, they just recently released episode 9, so episode 10 will be coming in a few days. My name is Meisterbloo, and I will see you all in the next video. So until then, everybody, peace out.